Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel StudyMate. So today we're going to be discussing the first chapter of Geography class 10th, which is Resources and Development. Now in this chapter we will be covering the following topics. The first topic of course first we will be talking about the introduction. Then we have the interdependent relationship between nature, technology and institution, the classification of resources, their development. Then we have sustainable development, Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit 1992, Agenda 21. Then we have resource planning in India, factors determining development of a region apart from resources. Then we have the conservation of resources, land use pattern in India, land degradation and conservation measures, soil, classification of soil, soil conservation, soil erosion. Then we have NCERT back exercise solutions and important questions. Now NCERT back exercise solutions and important questions, I will be making a separate video on these two topics which I will be posting in future. So before we get started with the chapter, I would once again like to request you all to please like and subscribe to my channel and also share this video. Introduction. Resources. Everything available in our environment which can be used to satisfy our needs. So what are resources? In simple terms, we can say resources are everything which is available in our environment and which can be used to satisfy any of our needs. But there are three conditions to call anything a resource. First, it should be technologically accessible, it should be economically feasible, and culturally acceptable. So there are three conditions to classify anything as a resource. Interdependent relationship between nature, technology, and institution. So if you take a look at the diagram, you can see physical environment in brackets nature on the top. On the left side you can see technology, and on the right side you have institutions. In the middle you have human beings, and we have three arrows pointing towards each of these. Arrow 1, arrow 2, arrow 3. So basically, so what does this diagram mean? So basically, when we transform the things that are present in our environment, we need to have an interactive relationship between nature, technology, and institutions. As these three things are non-living, so there has to be a living component in this to establish that relationship. So here the role of human being comes. We human beings, we interact with the nature using the technology that we have, and with the help of this technology and nature we create the institutions which help in accelerating our economic development. So if you want to learn it the simple way, you can just say it as physical environment, institution and technology. They are all three non-living things, so human beings are a living component in this thing. In this relationship, to establish this interdependent relationship, you need a living component, and human beings are this living component. Please do not write this as a point in your exam that your physical environment, technology and institutions are non-living and we need a living component. It is just for understanding purpose and for learning it and for remembering it, but you will not write this in exam. If the question comes in the exam, we can write the process of transformation of things available in our environment involves an interactive relationship between nature, technology and institution. Human beings interact with this nature using technology or through technology and create institutions which develops their economic develop which helps to develop their economic development or to accelerate their economic development. Now, comes a very important topic which is mostly comes for 5 marks. Explain the classification of resources with example. So when we talk about this, we have a few parameters. But before we go towards those parameters, we will first take a generalized classification of resources. So generally, we can classify resources on two parameters: natural and human made, or human. So when we think about natural resources, let's talk about natural resources first. So natural resources are of two types: renewable and non-renewable. Renewable and non-renewable resources, we will definitely be talking about them later, but for a rough understanding I will tell you that renewable are the resources that can be renewed within a short period, and non-renewable are the resources that cannot be renewed in a short period of time and take millions of years to get constructed or form again. Now renewable resource, we have an example: continue continuous or flow, which is also we can say a definition that renewable resources are continuous. Now renewable resources are of two types, which is continuous or flow and biological. These biological resources are of two types: natural vegetation and wildlife. We always say that we can say that natural vegetation and wildlife can recover because they can grow once again, and biological, that's why we are calling it, and continuous of flow, wind, water, because these are some sources which we will never run out of. Next we have the non-renewable resources. Now in non-renewable resources also we have two types: we have the recyclable and non-recyclable. Now what does recyclable mean? Recyclable are basically the resources which can be recycled and reused. Now recyclable are basically the metal resources like aluminium, metal, or we have plastic also which is recyclable. But non-recyclable, like we have um, coal, petroleum, these are things we cannot recycle: coal and petroleum, and we cannot use them again, and these take thousands of years to build again. It takes thousands of years to build these things again, so it is very difficult to reconstruct them, and till now there is not any artificial procedure to create these things. Now when we have humans, we have structure and institutions, quantity and quality, and structure and institutions. We have human made resources also. We will be talking about these later in further chapters or in further classes. Let's first talk about the natural resources. Now we have the basis of classification. This question usually comes for 5 marks. It is a very important question. Classification of resources is very important. It mostly comes for 5 marks, and if the question is of 5 marks, they will give it to you in the form of like define the resources and what are it and how can they be classified. Now these resources can be classified in the following ways. Of course, this will be the covering line. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 points. These 4 points will be our basis. So when you're writing this answer, I will definitely guide you how you will write such type of answer. First you will be writing what is a resource. The resource we studied, resources any everything available in our environment, if it is economically feasible, culturally acceptable, or technologically accessible. anything available in our environment, and you can also improvise it a little bit, add 2 or 3 lines of your own if the question is of 5 marks. But I think if you even if you write the NCRT definition, it would be pretty sufficient. Now we have 5 parameters. Let's start with on the basis of origin. Now on the basis of origin, we have biotic and abiotic. On the basis of origin, on the basis of origin, there are two types of resources: biotic resources and abiotic resources. Now, biotic resources are basically a very easy way to remember the difference between biotic and abiotic is that bio is basically something related to living organisms. So biotic is also related to living organisms. So from the word biotic, we can say that these are obtained from biosphere. While abiotic, they are the non-living things. So biotic are obtained from biosphere and have life. For example, we human beings, flora and fauna, fisheries, livestock, etc. etc. Now for abiotic, we have non-living things, and we have the examples of rock and metal. On the basis of exhaustibility. Now, when we classify resources on the basis of exhaustibility, there are two types of resources. Let's first understand on the basis of exhaustibility. What do we mean by this? Basically, what on the basis of exhaustibility, we basically mean that what is its rate of getting renewed or replenished? Is it going, will it be able to renew or replenish in the future, or it will not be able to renew, or even, or if it will renew or replenish, it will take a very long time. So we have two types of resources: renewable, non-renewable resources. So renewable resources are the resources that can be renewed or reproduced by using any chemical or mechanical processes. Very important point in this, that they can be renewed or reproduced by chemical, mechanical, or physical process. Oh my god. Now, when we talk about non-renewable resources, now non-renewable resources are of course opposite to this. They do not renew in a short period of time using any physical processes. They may or may not renew, and even if they are renewable, they take a long time. For example, we have solar, which is sun, wind, energy, water, forest, wildlife, etc. Now we have the non-renewable resources example. Non-renewable resources, of course, as I talked about earlier, that they cannot be renewed or replenished, and these examples are mineral, fossil, fuel. They are example of such resources. Now these take millions of years. Important point over here: millions of years to form or formation for their formation. They can be divided into two parts: continuous or flow renewable resources, as we saw on the flow chart earlier. And these resources can be recyclable and fossil fuel. So we have two types: recyclable type and the fossil fuel time. So that is it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Also, I've mentioned my email ID in the description. Please, if you have any feedback, any suggestions on the videos I can cover, please send me those. And thank you so much. Also, I would really appreciate it if you guys would subscribe to my channel. So please subscribe to my channel, and I will try my best to come out with new videos every day, or maybe in 1 to 2 days. Okay, thank you. Bye.